Mom, the whaling fleet's back. Can I run down and meet him? That was Tommy when he was little. The whaling fleets that pulled into Davenport, Iowa. Lots of whaling done in the Midwest.
Go ahead, Tom. There's enough blubber in this room.
I'm fat, but not as fat as Brock.
You're fatter than you were when you were almost dying.
I am fatter than I was before. Yeah, which is probably an improvement.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, because I was looking a little skeletal there for a little bit.
You really were.
Heroin chic is always in, though.
Well, I don't know about the chic, but heroin, count me in.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for Rock and Roll, the podcast, featuring Dr. Nick Redbone. I like the trumpet thing that you do. Tom Nelson. And me. Today's podcast brought to you in part by
Cereal, because who doesn't like a good bowl of cereal?
Fruity Pebble Rice Krispie treat. You ever had one of those?
Yes.
You make the Rice Krispie bar out of
Fruity
sure.
Pebbles. Oh, yeah.
Bay.
Of the Pebbles cereals, I'm more of a Cocoa Pebbles guy.
Yeah, see, the best part about the Cocoa Pebbles
the chocolate milk.
Is the milk at the end.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
You know what they say, once you go black.
Hey, they talk about Cocoa Pebble or the Cocoa Puff. The Cocoa Puff is far inferior to the Cocoa.
It's too much air,
Pebble.
man.
Cocoa
I need
Puff ain't got
density in my cereal.
What is this? A Kix? If I want Kix, I'll go get Kix. Get out of here with your Kix.
The only thing that makes Kix tolerable is if you pour like a bowl of sugar on top of it.
Well, I was going to say, it's like eating styrofoam otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, but anything with a pile of sugar poured on the top is pretty good.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, it's another pile of sugar, and then that's overkill.
In fact, sometimes I eat the sugar you bring for your coffee as a snack all by itself.
I've seen it happen.
It happens.
Remember,
That's
Brock
how this happens.
eats sugar cubes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rock and Roll, the podcast. This is episode 18, I believe.
Let's call it 47.
And apologies for last week, first week that we've gone without dropping a podcast since we got started.
Things got pretty stupid.
We had a big charity thing going on, and your schedule was insanity. So that's what happens. But we are back now, and I'm glad that we are sponsored
Welcome back.
Wow.
So the 90s kid just referenced a 70s TV
I'm
show
blown
theme song.
away. That was awesome.
Welcome back, Cotter.
Welcome back,
And it
Cotter.
was spot on, man.
I know.
Wow.
Nick at Night.
And he can sing.
And Nick
A
at
multiple
Night
threat.
these days is like Saved by the Bell. It's not Nick at Night anymore. Or I'm old.
That might be it. You know what's really funny? The fact that you're still watching Nick at Night.
I haven't in years.
Okay.
But I watch Nick at Night.
Yeah. Okay. So this is episode 18, and the
no
fact
shame.
that Tommy brought up the sponsorship, because we don't have an actual sponsor, feel free to sign up.
Right.
The fact that he brought up, please, for the love of God, buy this damn thing. Where were we?
The fact that I brought up cereal.
That's right. Because Battle Creek, Michigan is the home of pretty much cereal manufacture in the United States.
Yep.
And we are talking about the state of Michigan. No, this has not turned into a geography podcast. Still a rock and roll podcast. The state of Michigan is like some sort of wacky mecca for rock from the 50s until now.
And it's just a wacky mecca in general. Have you read the news lately?
I'm too busy not reading the news.
Oh.
Yeah, we have somebody else for that. Big Paul.
Big Bad Paul.
Right up there right now.
He's right up there.
We should try and convince him to come down here and just get him on camera.
We should never, ever do that ever.
Okay. You're right. That was a terrible idea.
I know.
Sorry, strike it from record.
Absolutely.
Anyway, rock in Michigan.
Yeah, so
what's going on in Michigan?
Michigan, everything. That's first
I meant
of all,
news-wise.
Well, where do we start? Because if we want to do we want to be genre specific? Do we want to say just rock? Because that alone will absolutely keep us busy. But look, first of all, I don't even know where to start. Do we start with the Michiganness, and what is it that makes this happen? That makes all of these acts come out of this one upper Midwest state? What is it that it makes it different from the other Rust Belt states that it turns out so many acts?
I don't know.
Now, you guys are both from the upper Midwest. Yeah. Do you think it's the fact that it's big industrial cities? Is it the fact that there's nothing to do? Is it the fact that it gets ice cold in the winter?
I think you got the blue collar, that aspect of it. Michigan is big, for forestry. You got it borders. Time for some geography, kids. It borders 4 of the 5 Great Lakes.
How do you do the hand thing? Is it like you got an you? Well, I mean, I'm from that part of. No, that wasn't it.
What?
That wasn't it.
What thing?
Because when you talk about being from Michigan or whatever part of Michigan you're from, you like hold your hand out, and because the UP is up here.
Yeah, you got the Michigan, and then you got the UP, the Upper Peninsula.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a new one on me. Hey, time out. I didn't know that.
Now you do.
I did. See, the podcast, a learning experience for everyone.
Remember, you have to watch it on YouTube to see how stupid we're being. You just have to listen to it to hear how stupid we're being. So first, before we have people wonder why are they just picking one state, let's throw just a few of the dozens that I found in the research.
Oh, man.
I mean, we could look. First of all, Detroit is Motown. The Motor City is where Motown Records came from, which was pretty much, and still to a certain extent, is influenced by R&B came out of. The R&B sound as we know it came from Detroit, Michigan. Berry Gordy and Motown Records, the Supremes, Stevie Wonder,
Marvin
Gaye,
Temptation,
Jackie Wilson. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And those artists aren't just repped by a label in Detroit. They're also from there. I think Stevie Wonder is from Saginaw, Michigan.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, these are acts that originated from the state of Michigan. And when you think about Michigan, do you think hip?
No, but going back to what makes the Midwest. What makes that happen? I think boredom is absolutely something that happens because if you look at these little rock scenes and like just the tiny towns that I used to play in, there's not a lot to do. You can drink, you can screw, or you can be in a band.
Okay,
or all three.
Which two did you do?
I can bet you guess which one didn't happen.
He was in a band and he drank a lot.
Oh man.
So maybe you take the combination of that boredom. There's not a lot going on, but then combine it with the fact that there are still big metro areas. I mean, Detroit in its height before the auto industry in Detroit collapsed was what, a mill and a half, 2 mil? And then you've still, I mean, Battle Creek is like 500,000 people.
Yep. Is Battle Creek that big?
Battle Creek's
big.
Yeah, Battle Creek is big. That my girlfriend's from there. She was actually sort of the one that clued me into. She said, "Have you ever looked at everybody who came out of Michigan?" And I mean, I knew that, I knew about Motown. I knew about Ted Nugent. And then I did some research and went, oh my God.
Yeah, I was blown away. Totally blown away.
Absolutely. Let's see. We just covered the Motown thing, and we've just lightly glossed over that. Another Michigan girl, Madonna.
Yeah.
Madonna.
Also from Michigan.
Absolutely.
Wow.
From Michigan. The Stooges, Iggy Pop. That's Michigan.
Wow.
The Three Stooges are from Michigan.
I did the same thing.
I didn't know that.
The MC5, Motor City 5, from Detroit.
Yep.
Terrible Ted Nugent, from Michigan. Bob Seger, and I'm assuming the Silver Bullet Band.
Yeah. Alice Cooper.
Alice
and you
Cooper.
can dig even deeper, man. There's somebody from Greta Van Fleet that is.
I think, aren't they all?
I think they are. I think they're an Ann Arbor thing.
The front man for the Knack.
That's right.
Sharona.
That's right.
It's just amazing how many people hail from either Detroit or Michigan.
And Jack White and the White Stripes.
Kid Rock.
Kid
Eminem.
Rock. That's right.
There's a ton of them.
The names we just listed should almost have their own wing in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Which is, think about that.
If it was legitimate.
If it mattered. If the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was worth the building materials it's made of. I think we can all, as I think we could be almost considered, experts in the field of rock and roll and rock radio. I think we all agree that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is bullshit.
It is.
Yeah,
Let's take a moment to look right into the camera to express what bullshit it is. That's
Don't
your
they make
YouTube
the artist
break.
pay?
They make them pay to go to their own banquet.
Yeah.
To their own induction, they have to pay. Yeah.
Oh,
and what are they
okay.
getting? Mac and cheese.
Yeah, I'll make sure to send you a check and show up for that bullshit.
Yeah.
No.
No, I won't. So let's take a look at some of those artists, and they're so absolutely different. I mean, there's a lot of that rock and roll that is similar. I mean, the hard rock stuff, the Stooges, the MC5, Kid Rock sometimes, depending on which artist he's currently stealing riffs from. Jack White. There's definitely that hard rock thing, and I think that probably comes from that. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think it comes from that blue collar, industrial, rust
combined with the boredom.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But so much soul coming out of a state that I just never thought of it. When I think of soul towns, I think of Chicago. I think of St. Louis. I think of New Orleans. I never thought of Detroit, and it shows how absolutely. I guess I'm blind kind of to that region of the country. I don't know much about it. You two, on the other hand, do.
Well, when you mention Michigan, though, even as somebody who's from the upper Midwest, I think about militias in the forest that are trying to overthrow the governor. Not that just happened, but
right.
I mean that's what I think about. Kind of backwoods.
Well, but we already covered Ted Nugent.
Hey,
hi-oh.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Did you just sing an?
I may have. I don't know. Either that or I'm gassy. I'm not sure.
Either way.
Yeah.
So now, why is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland? There's the question. If Detroit, if Chicago, or if Michigan is right there, who the hell did Cleveland blow to get that?
I want to say, does it go to the highest bidder? And if that's the case, who came up with that scratch?
In Cleveland of all places, they didn't even have an auto industry to cave in on. What did Cleveland have? We're still trying to figure it out.
I'm still trying to figure out what Ohio in general has.
Okay,
there's a lot of things that end up in Ohio. It's just Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So as opposed to like the Los Angeleses and the New Yorks, where artists go to get signed, to create their thing, to create their sound, create their movement, Detroit, Battle Creek, Ann Arbor, Michigan in general is just sort of this weird little, microcosm that creates their artists from scratch. Mm-hmm. What about the Great Lakes? Here's a question. Could it be because of the shipping and because there's port cities and because they connect to different bigger areas? Could that have anything to do with it?
No.
No, not what's Brock, in his opinion, as an expert on shipping.
He's a magnet, I tell you.
Clearly says no. No. Before Brock got into radio, he was really into shipping.
Let me tell you the cargo for whether
he's got all of the lyrics to the record that Edmund Fitzgerald tattooed on his back.
I knew that was going to come up at some point. Yeah, man.
It had to. It had to. So,
possibly, yeah.
How
so? How do you think?
Well, depending on if the ships are coming in, because I think the Great Lakes system does open to the Atlantic. Yeah. So there'd be some,
thinking of people like almost like an immigrant type of thing. Yeah.
A little bit of culture imported.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but then the bands aren't locking themselves in wooden crates to ship in. Let's go to Michigan, nail it shut.
Well, hey, it takes a while to navigate that Erie Canal. You got to have something to do.
This is way better than the Suez. Hey guys, let's switch over and start talking about our favorite canals.
And it's all in the timing.
Tell me that microphone picked that up. If not,
see that big see the big waveform over there. There she blows.
I know you don't like it when I tell you to add things, but if you don't add something on that part, my God.
We were talking about shipping, my favorite subject. I needed to make a ship horn noise.
It was shipping.
Shipping with a P. Oh, I'm sorry.
Silly me, I got to take 5.
Man, it smells gamey in here. Did somebody gut and skin an antelope down here?
Did somebody step on a duck?
Oh, God, did Brock eat an antelope?
No, fear not. It's just that failing organ smell.
The failing organs.
I'm pinned in by my microphone. I can't get out. Okay, remember 12? Remember episode 12?
Yeah.
Because we're in it again.
Close?
We're in it again.
Well, you picked a
we're
shitty
not.
topic.
What do you mean I picked a shitty topic?
Throwing that out there.
You're the one who crapped in the middle of it.
Somebody had to do something.
It's my way of saving the podcast.
That's all I had to contribute.
And that's it. Contribute or contribute?
little bit of both.
I just got, why not take a word and really screw it up?
So let's go back to talking about the bands nailing themselves in wooden cargo ships to get to Michigan.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call. That's the part we should go back to.
Yeah.
If you're looking at I found a list of actual just Hall of Famers, just quote unquote rock and roll Hall of Famers that came out, and it's still, there's such a huge amount of them. Ted Nugent not in yet, but Motown's, we're pretty much guessing that's how it's going to stay. But the Motown roster, Bill Haley from Bill Haley and the Comets, another one.
Yep.
And he's one I found on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame list. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if Michigan is so full of all these bands, you never hear about like iconic Michigan venues.
No, well, now here's the thing, and I've heard this once again from my Michigan contact. She told me that there's a big rock place, a rock hall, a rock venue in pretty much every town. She said that the one in her town, she grew up in Battle Creek, was the Music Factory. Mm-hmm. So it was sort of like, it was like a big, huge rock club that would bring in the touring bands, but also had locals, and the locals were even drawing crowds of their own. Which
it's interesting how it stays off the radar. I mean, everyone's heard of, almost everyone's heard of like Whiskey A Go Go
and like
on the West Coast.
And the Viper Room. And, there's
but you don't
like
hear
that
these, if they exist, how come we don't hear about it?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, especially with rock and roll being what it is right now, anything that's happening in rock is almost by definition underground. You know what I mean? Hell, that's why we do the podcast in a basement.
What just happened?
I just did a really bad laugh. Look, man, look. Let's just, let's just realize. Let's just be honest right now. We're in the middle of another 12. 12 is happening right now.
I refuse to accept that.
Really?
I think it's wrong. I farted. I'm sorry. I'll stop shitting.
I'll stop eating. I have to eat so I can take my back pill.
Look, I'm going to tell you
that out of you earlier.
Look, I'm going to tell you this right now. That was the best thing that's happened in this podcast so far.
It was a good fart.
It was a really good fart.
Awesome.
It was loud. It was big. It was terrifying. I'm proud of you for that.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you guys have ranked that fart?
Because of the timing, I'm 11. Are you kidding?
Oh, timing-wise, it was out of the water. Yeah.
As far as just the fart quality
it
itself,
was not out of the water. I have the stains to prove it.
Oh, God.
As far as
on the
fart
Richter
quality,
scale, I would give it a 9.5.
Yeah, as far as overall quality based against your previous body of work, it's a 7.
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
being awful.
You really are pretty good at being awful. We all are.
That's
Nice
true.
By the way.
But it really does take a failing organ to get the failing intensity.
Yeah, you see, once
Did you hear that?
Once one of your kidneys starts to fail.
Wake up. For those of you that aren't watching us on YouTube, I was talking to my crotch.
There is no saving this one.
Oh, I'm going to try. I'm going to try. You mentioned at the beginning about different genres. Now,
was that a ship wheel?
No, you mentioned different genres, and I didn't do in my research. I just looked at rock and roll.
Right.
Is there like a big country influence from Michigan?
No, that's interesting. I didn't find any country in all of the.
It's too cold.
All of the looking that I found. I just don't think there's enough. I don't know enough cowboys. I don't know if there's enough cousin on cousin love.
We could always get Paul. He will know. Not about cousin on cousin. Well, maybe that's it. He'll know about the country.
He would know about the country. Let's just be okay with not knowing about the country then.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good to me. That's good. So once again, I just took Tommy's attempt at fixing it and just stonewalled it. I'm afraid there's nothing here. I'm afraid.
Let Tom do what he was trying to do. Go ahead. Steer it
I'm
back.
spent now.
We're done.
No,
we're done.
What about? Okay, here we go again.
It's a big ass ship.
That's and you are the expert in shipping.
I really am. Spent decades.
You know what would be interesting what if now we're living in the curse of sixes? What if like every 6 podcasts it just turns into a shit show?
I mean, I'd be okay with
Why don't we plan on that?
Hey, wouldn't you like to sponsor this shit show? Tell you what, if you'd like to get a hold of us,
We're not doing a great job for our sales department this episode.
no, we're not. But then again, neither are they. They're trying. Look at me being a dick. If you want to sponsor this podcast, you can always get a hold of us individually. I'm Dr. Nick Redbone. Google, you'll find a million ways to get a hold of me. That's Brock Johnson, Tom Nelson over there. Drop us a note and we'll get it to somebody who matters. And
if you'd like a free plug over my organ-failing fart, Venmo, Rock and Roll the Podcast.
Did you say Venmo?
I did.
He's trying to make cash with his butt.
Hey, I mean...
He's not the first one.
No.
If we got organ failure, let's go for a GoFundMe. Let's do that.
Watch this. You want to see the best thing I can do to this podcast right now? Are you ready? And that was Rock and Roll the Podcast, episode 12, part 2. That was episode 18. Man, I thought this one had.
I didn't do my homework. I'm sorry.
Well,
I think it was great.
It doesn't matter. Tommy and I did our homework, and it's still tanked.
But I love it. You can polish a turd. I don't care what anybody says.
They proved it on Mythbusters.
Right?
They polished a lion poop.
They used to make me polish the turds before we could ship them intercontinental.
If you want to get a hold of us, feel free. And if you don't after this, who can blame you? My name's Dr. Nick. That's Brock Johnson. That's Tom Nelson. That was Rock and Roll the Podcast. We should be ashamed of ourselves.
But we're not.
Sorry.
Bye. Peace, love, and rock and roll. We're out.
Subscribe, damn it. Daddy needs a kick in the sand.